you to our first LA Bookwoman Day. We have seen a revolution in book publishing. I read in Galley Cat that at Christmas time, e-books surpassed hardback books in sales. And that was due to iPads, Kindles, and Nooks. So when people say books are going away, no, they're not. They're just changing. And I'm so glad to see so many of you here today because they are changing. And as writers and authors, we need to change with that. And that is why we've put together this wonderful team of experts today to teach us how to change with the times. Because 2011 is a year of change. Following my presentation will be Teresa Moore, who is on my far right in the bright red. Teresa Moore is founder of morewealth.com. She is an entrepreneur and business marketing consultant. Ms. Moore has developed marketing programs for small business owners and major sales companies for the last 30 years. She has a background in printing and marketing and has developed an online live webcast program that builds media exposures for authors and speakers, which utilize cutting-edge technologies of interactive live online events that takes an author's book to global markets and builds continuously following to expand a book author's work into speaking and seminar opportunities. That translates into book sales. So in case you didn't realize that.
We're pleased that all you ladies are here because you are your best resource. Your alliances and your networks with each other and your voice, what you put in your book. Reading 50,000 words a minute is actually just flipping through a page about a half a second a page. And people go, that's impossible. We all do it. We go through the yellow pages that way. We go through the newspaper that way. We just don't do it with our books. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to teach you a little process that you can use to get people into your book. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? In fact, the reason I'm here is because we had your president, Michelle, into one of my events where we broadcasted online interactive. And by the way, we are broadcasting right now. You'll see me right there. And that's going over the internet. So our first hour is complimentary. We actually invited all of the WNBA national members to watch. So that, you see, we've just expanded your audience, didn't we? So that's the first thing. So I'm going to teach you that. Before I get started teaching you this process of how to read, you're not going to actually read 25,000 words a minute today, but we're going to take you through a process. Michelle came to one of my events. I was actually in Hawaii. I have a home in Los Angeles, in Studio City. The author was Ginny Gentry. She's one of our members here. And so she came into it's actually my den that we set up as a studio. Cameras, lighting. I had about 5 people there reading. Michelle was one of them. And we took her through the book. And in an hour, in the first 2 minutes, we went through the book. In the next 10 minutes, we pulled out trigger words. Those are words that we consciously look at that catch our attention. And then we started talking to the author. And we started asking her questions because those trigger words reinforced or had us connect to that author's information. We had the most extraordinary process, didn't we? Yes. And I do that with many book authors. And so that is when I talk about this 2-minute instant read process. We're going to demonstrate that this morning. But before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about me. I have always been an entrepreneur. I turned 50 last year. And I never really thought about it. I'm also a mother of 3 children, 28, 29, 30. So you knew what I was doing my first. At 19, I got married. And I have to share with you, my guys, my husband and my son have volunteered their time today, so they're filming. And my son is a technical wizard. Now, I always tease them and say, look, it's going to be a room full of women. And they come. But anyway, entrepreneurs. We are all entrepreneurs. That's why you're here in this room. Whether you have a book with a publisher or whether you're self-publishing, you're an entrepreneur because you're pulling royalties from your book. all right? And so you've moved a little bit out of that stage. So I'm a true entrepreneur. I've never worked. I've always worked for myself. I've always worked and when I first started, I worked in the printing field. My husband and I ran a printing company for 15 years. We worked with little mom and pop to major corporations. And in order for me to get their printing, I loved marketing. So I would do marketing for free, and I'd get their printing. I started to learn some very amazing techniques of how to get the sale. And that's what we're all focused on today. Whether you're self-published or whether you're trying to get your book published, building your platform is why you're here. And then moving books. And so the next statement I want to say, and I did a little interview with Javita. And Javita is a self-publisher. She's on the panel later, and she's going to talk about self-publishing. But most of us don't think about this. I asked Javita how many books she sold, and she said, well, I've sold 10,000 books. And I went, well, what's your profit margin? We don't think about that. So I want you all to think right now, how much do you make on your book sale? Or if you haven't written your book, how much do you want to make? The average profit on a self-published book is about $10. Jovita makes $15. So when Jovita sold 10,000 books, how much money did she make? Anyone? $150,000. Does that get your attention? We don't think that way. If you go to a publisher with your pitch, you want to be able to show them why you can move 10,000 books. O-Books. O-Books has a great PDF book form of self-publishing. I was going to show it to you. And in that second or third page, one of the owners of O-Books, they have done a study, 1.2 million books sold in the United States. Less than 100 of them ever sell more than 100,000 copies. The average sell is 500 copies. Can anyone retire on 500 copies at $15 a book profit? And if you're not self-published, your royalties, who's published right now? What's your royalty on your book?
It's about $10.
Oh, that's great. Tell everybody who's your publisher.
Oh, actually, I started my own publishing company in 1990.
Did you see what she said? Who's published by a publishing house?
I get a whopping.
Yes, I want you.
Undeniable.
Yes.
90 cents per book.
I want you to know that is the average. If you go to a publisher, you're probably going to make $1 to $3 a book, depending on your price range. Okay. So the next question. There's less than 250 people out of 1.2 million book authors in the United States that sold more than 500 copies. 10,000, Javita didn't realize this, but she is a rarity. 10,000 copies. 10,000 copies is 850 books a month. Start thinking about that. If you want to have, and then the next question is, think about it. Can you retire on $150,000 a year life income? And that's what I want you to start thinking about. If you're going to write a book, how much do you want to make? Think about how many numbers you've got to pull, if that's what your objective is. Because the next thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you want your book to do? Everybody has a different reason for writing that book. That book could be written because it's your calling card. Julia, and I've actually read her book. She doesn't know that. You offered an email about 6 months, 8 months ago, where anyone could download your PDF.
Cyber Monday.
I read it the first day it came through my email. I know everything about your book, just so you know that. I've been tracking her she's an extraordinary marketer. She knows what she's doing. She didn't write her book. You don't get rich on your book, do you?
About 90 cents to $1.10.
There you go.
I get paid at all.
So we're here as entrepreneurs to make some money. And so now I have book authors that write their book because maybe they want to do seminars, maybe they want to do training, maybe they want to do speaking engagements. Think about what you're going to do with that book, because now that the landscape of publishing has changed forever, we are no longer brick and mortar publishers. That doesn't mean they're going to go away. How do we start to use the digital format to get our goal? Start to determine how much you want to make and put that goal in place, because if you think about it, you'll start to attract it. When I did the interview, and I hope all of you watched the little 5 or 7 minute video on the website that we did with Javita to invite you to. Did everybody see that? Did anybody see that? That's another thing, digital publishing, internet. Javita came, we filmed her 10, 15 minutes, edited a nice little piece. When I did that little interview with her and we put it on the internet, in fact, who else did we do? We did Julia Drake. Wasn't that amazing? And just to be able to have a little YouTube video, 3 to 4 minutes, talking about your book. You just spent an hour learning how to come up with less than a minute. And then what's the other thing they want? They don't want to just read the book, they want to connect with you. You have a message. What's that message? Why do they want to connect with you? Start to find out what your readers found out. When I do this interactive live event, you get to know what your readers love about your book, what their interest level is, what their intrigue is, and you start to interact, because that is the key of moving more books. Because after you've gotten your first book and you make your first 20 grand. Yes, I do talk money. What's the next thing? My second book, my third book. So the next thing is you're going to want to start to build a following of readers. And here is your greatest resource in this room right now. We launched Jenny Gentry's book, and she had a superb team put together a marketing program. She started out on Amazon when we did this book launch. She started out like at 23,000, I don't know, some odd number ranking. She got about 10 to 15 different authors to give away some kind of promotion that valued over $3,000. I was one of them. And if you bought her book on the day of the launch, the night before she launched, she was like 23,000. The next morning before we actually did the launch, 713, 237. By the end of the day, she was ranked for that day 4th and 6th in spirituality and one other category. She ranked higher than, I can't remember, there was a well-known author, and we're moving books. That's your business. That's why you're here. We're moving books. If you're going to do a seminar, you might use the book differently. I'm going to share with you a new author I just started working with. She just came out with Thriving in a Toxic World. I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do with your current book, or even before you launch your book. Do a test market. Just like you'd pitch to a publisher, okay, I'm writing this book, I've got the first 3 chapters. Do a test market, put it out there, and see if people, what they'd want to hear, because whether you're doing it to the publisher or you're self-publishing, you want to know what your readers want. Dr. Sharon Winters, she's also, in fact, all of you probably are old enough, I hate to say that, are old enough to remember Catgirl on Batman and Robin. Everyone remember that? Sharon Winters was the original Catgirl. She's also a jazz singer. She's also spent 30 years because she had a health opportunity when she was 25. After she landed the role, she came down with, they told her she wasn't going to make it. She spent the next 30 years becoming an expert on toxic items in our community and how to get healthy from it. And so Sharon already has a speaking circuit. She already has, so she's going to use her book a little bit different. But you see how thick this book is? She has to retail her book for $40 to make a profit. And how many people spend $40? And I said, Sharon, why don't we just give it away as a PDF for anyone who attends a free online webcast with you? She has a following right now of 5,000 people in one of her companies. I said, let's just give all 5,000 people a copy, and when they buy a product, turn around and offer the right to give that copy to a friend. Because it's not the book that's making her rich. And then here's another marketing tip that you can take. If you already published, take your PDF and give it away as an instant download when they order the book online. Because now you're promoting your publisher's profit margin and yours, if that's what you want to do. If you want to sell books, your PDF, and here's the business part of what I'm talking about, your PDF costs you nothing. I said, yeah, call your publisher, and they emailed it to me instantly. Instant business is what we're moving into. Here's the basic concept. Here's what you need to do when you're writing your book, and I'm going to tell you, I learned this, how to read 25,000 words a minute 25 years ago with a book, with a company that teaches this process called photo reading. You can look them up, but the reason I have you look at this, if you get a chance during the day, flip through that. There you go. The way you lay out your book, the way it's written, the text, all is going to affect your reader. When they're trying to make that decision to buy your book, they're going to read the front cover, the back cover, and the table of contents. Your table of contents needs to be very specific on those titles, because those titles are going to jump out at them in an instant. They're going to make a decision, yes or no. The next thing you want to do, and this is what I teach, and this is why I take an author through a 2-minute instant book read, is we'll have them flip through the book, and if the book is written well, then you've laid it out where there's headlines. In fact, you'll see, and this is a good book to flip through to get some ideas. You might put a little icon. Anytime, my book is about this, and you might put a little icon. He put a little Einstein. Anytime he had a little Einstein, it drew your attention to that part of the book, because you want them to make that instant decision to buy your book now. And you want to have them be able to click and have it download instantly. But I also want the hard copy, because I'm not going to be carrying, there are times I'm going to want these books. Now, let me tell you, I had made the proposal, anyone that wanted to submit their PDF to me, I would read it, and we would entertain presenting it. Two people out of this room. I charged $2,500 for this. I gave that to you for free. 2 people submitted their book. Joan Jackson and Javita. Now, we're going to use Javita's because it's really little. But I want you to know about Joan. I pulled her over. So I read Joan's book in less than 15 minutes. And let me tell you, I know more about her book, and any one of you can do this. It's like looking through the yellow pages. When you go shopping to the grocery store, you don't start from aisle 1 and go through every product. And that's how we're taught to read right now. There are many ways to read. We do it now. When we go to yellow pages, we don't go to yellow pages anymore, right? We go to the internet. Page 22. Her book is about her life, a divorce, what brought the divorce. And page 22, one of the most exciting parts about it, I want you to all go read it, because this is how you sell your books. She's got some really great sex stories. Now, I just told her, I said, look, you tell him what page. Page 22, I'm going to give you a headline. She felt his hardness press. Okay? You see that? That's going to sell her book. But it's more than that. She had another piece. She had this dog throughout the whole story. And I asked her, why did you have this dog? Because it was, what was it? If you'll stand up and tell me, why do you have the dog through the story?
It was a metaphor for the protagonist and finding her way home.
Finding her way home. What she ended up doing, I'm going to tell you a quick story because you'll go read this because of page 22. What she ended up doing is she had this great love affair. She left her husband. She found that the love affair wasn't enough, and she found herself. And she found that she was solid, strong, and she could go on into life with what her desires were, not. Exciting book. I encourage you to read it. Let's go through Javita's book real quick. Go ahead and start it for me. All I'm going to have you do is, we're flipping through at 2 seconds, so you're about 12,000 words a minute. And I just want you to look at what stands out. And Javita's book is written really well, and you'll be amazed at how much she dedicated to Dottie. There's your table of contents. Retrain your brain. And this is the process. Questions I've wrestled with. Future is one where I'm doing work I love. What does it mean to get out of your own way? Rational for getting out of your own way. Major turning point. Do you see how very quickly you're getting a very good feel of what that author's? We're going to spend less than 2 minutes. And if you flip through that book, or you teach your potential readers how to just go through that book, her book is well written. Workforce reductions. Journey through life is filled with opportunities and challenges. Chronicles my journey. Are you as successful as you'd like to be? You get an idea what her book's about? If you read, and just keep watching as I'm going to read, because we're going to hyperspeed this. This is what's on the back. Create the next chapter of your life. Are you as successful as you'd like to be? If you're like most people, you barely scratch the surface of your potential. Success strategists, authors, executive coaches, Javita Jenkins takes you on a journey to discover how to reinvent yourself for the future. The insightful book provides practical wisdom and strategies to help you change your life personally and professionally. In these pages, you'll discover secrets to help you get out of your own way and think different about your life, your possibilities, your goals, and your dreams. Reinvent yourself for the future. Reorient your thinking to eliminate limiting beliefs. Identify and pursue your passions. Overcome roadblocks to your success. Implement success strategies and plans to turn your dreams into reality. Attract the resources and people you need to accomplish your vision. You see how much we covered in less than... We know everything your book's about. She's an extraordinary woman. If you go back to the back of her book, it's so well written, flip through it. She has it highlighted in areas that your eyes will just go right to what you're wanting. See, you could hear me, you could listen to me, and you could watch at the same time. We are multi-dimensional thinkers, but we read page for page, word for word. I'm done. Thank you for joining us, and take the time and flip through the books. And your greatest resource right now, we set up a networking table back there for you. Put your business cards out there. Talk to some of your other book authors. See if your content you're following are related, because you can do some great alliances with one another. You are your greatest resource right here in this room.